Hey there, and welcome to this week's installment of your prioritized focus content, we'll call it. And this is applicable for your faith, your life, and your business. I am a huge stickler about time management is a myth, and I prefer to use prioritized focus as a method in order to improve our time management skills, because in the end of the day, that's what it is. All right, so today we are going to talk about power hours and specifically how to put the power back into your hours. If you're following along, the name of this blog post is How to Put the Power Back into Your Hours. If you're listening on the podcast, this is episode number 82. So with that, let's get started, shall we? Okay. So if you've been a fan, a follower, or fellow student of all things related to self-development, you're no stranger to the term power hours. And in case you're not so familiar with this go-to time management hack, it's essentially setting aside an hour for specifically assigned tasks. I have a lot to say about time management and the myth that I believe that it is, but you can poke around either here, over at prioritizefocus.com and all I've had to say about that. Or you could just start with my Prioritize Focus guide. I will give the link for that to you. So I like to say time management is a skill, not a method. Problem is we are being sold that it's a method and it's not. It's really a skill. Anyway, but for today, I am going to add my 2 cents and tips on how to set yourself up for productive power hours. Now, if you're new to rolling with me, you should know that I'm a fun mix between powerfully productive and an active procrastinator. Um, and I'll actually link in the notes my post about productively procrastinating. Anyway, all I'm trying to say is that I am doing my best to share my progress propelling tips, tools, and resources with other goal getters like you. All right. The missing ingredient in your secret sauce for success, and it may not be what you think. Since I mentioned that I am a bit of a mix myself, let's talk about mixing. When it comes to goal getting, you have got to get comfortable with mixing it up, mixing things up. That's the secret sauce. You see, we love to stay in our comfy comfort zones. Why? Because they feel safe, they're familiar, and well, they're known. We know our way around these parts in our comfy pants and our, you know, blankies and all those things, right? But you and I both know that stagnation, and stuck are the typical results of staying in our comfort zones too long. Oh, and I've got something to say about stuck too. I'll leave you the notes, the links in the show notes for that as well, in case those of you who are curious what I have to say about being stuck. Anyway, is it too presumptuous of me to say that you're one of those who are always on the lookout for a better way, a smoother transition, or a helpful guide when it comes to getting out of your comfort zone? Because you recognize, listen, that's where the magic happens. That's where the secret sauce is, getting out of your comfort zone. Good. I figured as much. I mean, you're here, right? Listen, if you're looking for easy, this is not the spot. I can simplify, share, and systemize things for you all day long. But in the end, you've got to pull up your big girl pants, maybe chip a nail, and do the work. While we may have one common purpose, the goals, strategies, and milestones that get us there are rarely the same. As a matter of fact, I have a whole page dedicated to identifying what steals or keeps your focus. And yes, you've guessed it. I'll leave a link for you in the show notes if you're watching this over on YouTube or if you're listening to the podcast. If you're going to shoot over to the blog, those links are already in there. But before we jump into what to do in our power hours and even tips on how to structure them, you first have to get yourself prepared. And to do that, I'm literally going to spell it out for you. All right. We are going to say that again 3 times fast. We're going to prep for your power hours with power. P.O.W.E.R. See, when we hear new information, whether a method or approach, we're quick to want to just dive right in. Oh, she's going to give me the formula. Let me just go and do it. Listen, ambition is great, but preparation is what turns that ambition into achievement. So let's get you powered up, shall we? All right, let's go. If you got a pen and paper, this would be a good time to grab that and jot these down. Again, you can pop over to the blog and it's all laid out and spelled out for you there. But for those of you who are listening and want that now, grab your pen. P is for your plan. What do you want? Your future can only happen when you take the time to use what you know and implement it in your present. Your plan has got to make the move from your imagination to paper before it's ever ready to go into production. Otherwise, you'll only ever dabble your way to your goal instead of finalizing the decision to go for it. Yes, there's another link there. 3, 2, 1, go. But we're moving on. O is for obsessing. You need to obsessively focus on the results that you want to see. That means more than obsessing about what could go wrong, what you've done wrong, what you could do, what you should do. You need to obsess about what needs to happen and what you're doing. Only then can the outcomes have the opportunity to take care of themselves. How often have we seen these overnight success, and then we find their backstory and it took 10 years in the making? Yeah. That they were obsessed with their goal. It may have taken them 5 years, 10 years. We're looking for microwave success, but we want the savory taste and satisfaction of a slow cooker. You just can't have both. So only when you obsess about the results that you want to see can you have the opportunity that those results will take care of themselves. By focusing on what you want, it also gives way to how to produce those desired results. Think about it. We, in coaching, industry speak, we hear all the time, know the why and you'll figure out the how. Well, this is true. If you're obsessed with what you want and why you want it, then the how, you'll figure it out, right? I've heard it said before that what you obsess about, you eventually possess. But be very careful. Good or bad, you have to be mindful of those obsessions. I could say a lot more about that, but I want to keep this kind of short. So P is for plan, O is for obsess, W is for work, and I mean W-E-R-K, work. Girl, you have got to work for what you want. Know your sweet spots when it comes to your productivity. Pay attention to your results, the ones that you're getting, the ones that you want to keep, the ones that you need to ditch, and the ones that you need to see a little more of, right? Then you can use that data to figure out how to amplify the results you want more of. I always say you can't improve what you're not doing, right? You could sit here and imagine and plan on paper and everything all you want, but it's until you take those steps and do, you don't know what needs improving, what needs tweaking, what needs to just not that important right now, right? Work is the process of a goal, not its final outcome. All right. And for those of you who are watching on YouTube, I'm holding it up right now. Everyone else, there's a link. This is my most favorite, I call it my Fantabulous tool, because it has a weekly and month-end assessment in every single planner. And I'm talking about the 30-day Prioritize Focus Planner. There will be a link in the notes if you're listening or watching. Everyone else, it's in the blog. All right, moving on. P is for plan. O is for obsess. E is for your energy. You only have so much, so spend it wisely. In order to be responsible stewards of what we've been given, we have to be mindful of our expenses. You budget your time and money, so why would your energy be any different? Who or what is sucking the energy out of you? Is it your mental energy that's being depleted? Is it your physical, or is it both? Sometimes the mental energy and the strain and drain that has on us, it affects us physically. You have to take care of those. And don't just investigate and find out where those energy leaks are. Do something to stop them. E is for energy. All right. P is for plan. O is for obsess. W is for work. E is for energy. Did I just spell that right? I just rambled that off and I don't even know. All right. R. R is for retain. You've got to retain and apply, not just obtain and sit by. Any information hoarders out here? We take all of this information because we think we need it. And, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's good. Oh, I'm going to use that. When? Date and time. When? If it's not in the next 30 days, that is not something that you need to retain right now. So you have got to retain and apply, not just obtain and sit by, especially when it comes to your part in making things happen. And most importantly, you need to retain your belief in the one who holds all things together and that he's got this, whatever your this is, and you. What is for you is for you. It may not be on your timeline. It may not be how you planned it all out on pretty paper with your, favorite pens and color coded and all that. But you've got to trust what God said is for you, and trust his timing. That doesn't mean you sit around on your hands and wait. You prepare, but you move when he says it's time to move. Oh, and bonus tip for R, it's not just for retain. You've also got to refrain from the things that are going to steal your focus. Okay, so that is the prep part of putting the power back into your hours. That is, P is for your plan. O is for obsess about it. You've got to obsessively focus on the results that you want to see. W is for work. You got to work for what you want. E is for your energy. And R is for retain. Not retain and apply it, not just, hoard it all. But it's also for refrain, knowing what teases you away from your focus. All right, so now what? Now we apply that P.O.W.E.R. into your hours. Now that you've prepped for your power hour, you may be wondering, what's next? As in, what exactly does it look like applied to your hours? Here are some examples and ways that you can structure your power hours, as in, it doesn't have to be a block of 60 minutes. Oh, did that just relieve some time management pressure off of you? Those of you who are thinking power hour, it's got to be 60 minutes, right? So many resist the idea of power hours because they're so overscheduled that just the thought of setting aside an hour seems impossible. Speaking of resist, let me resist jumping on my soapbox about that problem. Again, I'm going to point you to the resource if you don't already have it from me, and that is the Prioritize Focus Guide. Just if you don't have it, click on that link if you read the blog, and it will be in the show notes. But anyway, back to structuring your power hours. Are you ready? First of all, the rule for power hours is they are planned blocks of uninterrupted time. This is time to work on already decided tasks that will help make progress toward your specific goal. Now, last week's episode talked about 3-2-1 goal, and there were some specific examples of ways that you could take your goal, and I like to say 3-2-1 it or 1-2-3 it. You can go back and read those. But for now, your hours equal your power. There are a lot of hours within your hours. So let's look at the ways that you can break down yours. We can do a power hour, could be 15 minutes 4 times. That's still 1 hour. That's still 60 minutes worth of time. It's not ideal for serious focus work, but let's say that you set aside this time to check and respond to social media posts. Now, instead of mindlessly scrolling, you have a time limit and a reason to be there. Let's look at the next hour. 1 hour, 60 minutes. That could be 20 minutes 3 times. This means that you can block 20 minutes per day 3 times, 3 different times. What can you get done in 20 minutes of uninterrupted time? This could be spent doing some pre-planning or research and then record those findings. So with this block of time, it takes a little bit of time, but not enough to really dig into something. This is kind of where you do that research. You look up articles and you save those links, whether it's in a Google Doc or you have a notebook or whatever that you use. For me, this is pen to paper or fingers on keyboard as a go-to spot when using those research findings. In other words, it keeps me off the internet and on my goals so that when it comes time for bigger blocks of time, I have what I need and I'm ready to go. So let's look at the next hour option. The next hour option would be 30 minutes twice. 2 30-minute blocks can be a good progress pusher. Think of how often you pause your day to sit down and watch, let's say, a 30-minute sitcom or a show. So a lot of progress can be made with some prioritized focus on a specific area of your goal in 30 minutes, right? Now just do it twice. Maybe it's in the morning. Maybe it's on your lunch break. One of them is at your lunch break, or maybe one is at the end of the day. And then last but not least, the one that we think of when we think of power hour, and that is 1 60-minute block of time. A single hour seems so insignificant sometimes when we think of it in terms of our biggest dream, like an hour. What's an hour going to do? This is what I want to do, right? Yet when we make the time to sit down and work, the time either flies by or it crawls. Both are dependent on your preparation and your mindset. Okay, I'm going to stop there. That was a lot. So you have what you need to prep for your power hours, and then a couple different ways that you can structure those power hours and still make significant progress. So now that you have the prep and the structure to apply to your power hours as a focused goal getter, I'm confident that you're going to use them wisely. And listen, I'm working my power hours right there with you. Thanks for listening or watching or reading, and I will see you next time.